xiongui jiawei tang. Xiong means qianxiong, and gui means dangui, and jiao means jiao, and I or a means mugwort. Do you know what is mugwort? Mugwort. Have you seen mugwort? I think you saw that in your clinic. It's a moxibustion. Moxibustion is mugwort. And that is from Japanese word mogusa. In 17th century, a lot of Europeans visited Japan and they have seen those moxibustion, and they heard the Japanese people call that mogusa, aye. And it transferred to Europe and they pronounced it moxa, M-O-X-A. So actually M-O-X-A, moxa, is not abbreviation of moxibustion. Moxa is the original word. Came from mogusa in Japanese. Aye, meaning leaf of eye. Leaf of eye is a leaf of mogusa. We use this for moxibustion and warming womb, uterus, for commonly used for women's disease. And jiao is kind of glue, commonly used when you make the furnitures or the toys. It has been used as a glue for a long time. It is made out of animal skin and bones and cartilages, fish bones, because they have plenty of collagenous fibers. So when you boil them for a long time, it gets sticky, gluey substances. That is jiao. So many Chinese people use jiao as a supplement to help anti-aging of the skin, because it has a lot of collagenous fibers, plenty of collagenous fibers. And also it tonifies in. So it is sticky, gooey nature, helps in. So jiao is a tonifying herb, tonifying specifically in. So aye and jiao is added to what? Can you see the formula here? You can, right? Dangui, Diwan, Baishao, Qianxiong, Angelica, and the Diwan, tonifying in and blood, mostly in, and Baishao, white peony root, and Qianxiong, regulate blood and tonify blood. So this is siwutang, 4 material decoction. So this is the formula that tonifies blood. And why these 2 herbs are added? Why Zhang Zhongqing, that famous doctor, added this 2 words? Think about it. Because he wanted to treat bleeding of ladies, mothers. Because they lost the blood already, he added dangui and baishao to tonify blood. So siwutang is a fundamental formula for variety of formulas commonly used in gynecological conditions. So this is the formula siwutang with aye and jiao. This is for stop bleeding. So the main purpose of this formula is to treat uterine bleeding and tonify blood. Uterine bleeding was the main indication. In Han Dynasty, there was no Su Dihuang yet. So he used Sheng Dihuang. So original formula just described this ingredient as just Dihuang, not Sheng Dihuang or Su Dihuang, but just Dihuang. But considering the context of this formula, purpose of this formula, you don't have to stick to Sheng Dihuang. Using Su Dihuang is better. I think he added jiao too, to help the Sheng Dihuang to tonify in more with jiao. So jiao and Dihuang tonifies in both of the herbs. But Sheng Dihuang has a lesser effect than Su Dihuang in terms of tonifying in. That is the reason jiao is added. So jiao, Su Dihuang tonifies in, treat the root of the root. And Dangui Baishao tonifies blood, and Qianxiong regulate blood, and Aye stop bleeding. That is the composition of this jiawei tang. And this is the original formula of siwutang. Suwutang made 1,000 years later from this formula. So we commonly think Siwutang is the original formula, but this is the original formula of Siwutang. Siwutang originated from this Jiaowei Tang. That is the reason I start from this formula. This is the original purpose of this formula. Frequent miscarriage and pain and bleeding while pregnancy. This is what he wrote in his book. Banglo, bleeding. But this formula probably mostly for spotting, not flooding. This is a deficiency condition. And it can be also used for menstruation problems. This menorrhagia and skipping and spotting, clots, a lot of clots. This clots with the bleeding and signs of blood deficiency. So Qianxiong and Dangui compromise Siwutang for tonify blood, and Aye, Erjiao and Aye for bleeding, Jiaowai. So name, this is the explanation about the name. So Siwutang came from this formula, but 1,000 years later they have Su Dihuang. So this Dihuang is substituted with Su Dihuang, but same ingredient, Siwutang. Let's go back to Siwutang again then. Basic formula Siwutang. Tonifies blood, Dangui by shower. Dihuang tonifies in and blood, treat the root of the root. Qianxiong, treat the branch. And Su Dihuang is the king herb. Those are something you need to memorize. And these indications, blood deficiency indications. Thin pulse is the signature pulse for blood deficiency. And all these formulas are from Siwutang. Wenqingyin, Jiaowei Tang, Jiaowei Siwutang, Tahong Siwutang, Taoren Siwutang or Tahong Siwutang, Yangsui Siwutang, Antayin, Taisan, Panshisan. So what is the king herb of Siwutang? Su Dihuang. But many ancient texts, likewise Benjiao Gangmu, wrote Dangui is the king herb. Can you read the Chinese here? Dangui is important medicine as a blood herb, blood tonifying herb, 혈약, blood medicine. So this Siwutang, Dangui is the king. It is just matter of interpretation. Nobody's wrong or nobody's right. And this is what I told you, Su Dihuang and Sheng Dihuang. This formula is originated from Jiaowei Tang, and Jiaowei Tang do not include Su Dihuang, but Sheng Dihuang, because they didn't have Su Dihuang at the time. And some books actually use Sheng Dihuang still later inside of Su Dihuang. Following are the ancient texts which use Sheng Dihuang instead of Su Dihuang. Another book in Korea in 15th century, this book uses Sheng Dihuang instead of Su Dihuang too. So it can be interchangeably used.